Yeah. So that's what you say?
All right, you live.
All right, we live now, man. We got knocked off the damn hangout, man. Yeah. Conspiracy theory. Now, what we was talking about was hominid, and hominids. Am I correct in that?
Oh no, you was building the case. What you say?
All right, you live. Now. Yeah, we live now. Yeah, we live. We're talking about the hominid, and hominids. Trying to get everybody caught up to speed on that. All right, I'm gonna take the avatars out. Got you. All right. I'll probably need to do some updates on my computer too. That's what the shit be acting stupid. My little laptop. Been ignoring them. Okay. Welcome back, everybody. We had a 2-hour discussion prior to the hangout. We should have been on the hangout talking about it, but we had to hash some things out so we don't get information confused. I think what we did come to the conclusion of is that we was talking about news, fake news, and I instructed everybody to take a look at Race in America by Charles Barkley. In the first segment, they talked about fake news and how on the internet you go to all these articles, right, that are talking about certain news stories, but they're fake. And they're fake because it's just people trying to get attention to their blogs. Same with the science information. They want to catch you with an aha moment. They'll use the word human, but won't tell you exactly what humans are they talking about. Homo erectus, Homo habilis, Homo ergaster, Homo sapien, or Homo sapien. They're not saying what human, okay? And so this is very, very confusing to those who don't follow Amaral Squad and who not up on their studies. You're not just going to get it like that. All right. Critiquing sources, chasing down sources, having newsrooms. All of this is important when you're dealing with news. Having journals. We have argument over how you read a journal. Arguments people don't even have. How do you read a journal? You know, what part of the journal should you read? How do you evaluate the data? How do you critique the data? Is it a scientific consensus? All these things are very important when you're dealing with this information. But all they do is they'll throw a damn like the Telegraph. That's one blog. What's the other blogs they have? We're not talking about journals now, just blogs that people are posting on Facebook thinking they got it. But these blogs will put titles that are very, very deceiving. I think we came at what's good, Ujao?
Yeah, peace. Yeah. That's right. And that's what we were talking about. Is that particular. I'm hearing a big echo. But that particular article that we were looking at or blog, it basically kind of characterized the question, and is like you said, it's more gimmicky. You know, it says the outer Africa theory is challenged based on some modern research or some modern findings, and come to find out, based on us having a discussion, that it has nothing to do with the outer Africa theory at all. So what people who are not well studied in the subject, they'll take the title and then they'll run with it and use the information in a inconsistent way with what the information is actually trying to present and trying to say. So we got to be careful of these titles of the article. And actually the article does have a link for the actual paper, the journal paper. And so people should be encouraged to read that. And then when you go to that and read that, you'll find out that it's not talking about the outer Africa theory at all. So we got to be careful. We got to be mindful of that.
So, let's do this. Now, where's your article at? And where's yours at, Ujao?
Well, to be clear, is I didn't write the article. I did a Google search. So it's not my article. It's just from a Google.
No, right. I got you.
It's not my position. It's the position of the people who are challenging whatever. Okay, so.
But everybody got a different title for it. Let me see.
So this, I can bring it up. I got it right here for you. I'll share my screen so you can see it. Although I do not agree or take responsibility for anything in it. Okay, so this is. Okay. Y'all see do you see my screen up?
Yeah, I can see your face right now.
Okay,
it's not shared yet.
It's not shared yet.
Yeah, I don't see it either.
Let me go to my history so I can get some of what we was doing here.
Okay, so brother Reggie has the actual actual journal itself up.
We don't want the actual journal yet.
Yeah, we just want this. So we want the fake. So this is from the Genetic Literacy Project, Science, Not Ideology. So if we go to about our team, you always want to look at the team. You want to look at the people who are writing to make sure that they're legit. But yet and still, they published this article. Sorry, guys. They published this article about what everybody's considering fake. So the out of Africa theory of human evolution challenged by Eastern Mediterranean fossil evidence. So that's the article.
Okay, so
what's the other one? We need another one. We got another
one. Who had the other one?
See, I lost it when I turned up on the daggone when my computer crashed. Let me see.
Brother Reggie, I know you have the actual journal, but you had mentioned the other one though, the one that said something else.
Yes, I have. The other fake news was from Europe was the birthplace of mankind, not Africa. I can share that screen.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Let me see if I can share that screen. 1 second. Google, I gotta stop sharing. And
I also got fossil disturbance delivers blow to out of Africa theory.
Right. So all right. So now people need to understand this, because the titles of these articles or these blogs is not what the title of the actual journal and the researchers are expressing. So we got to be mindful of this, people, because this is how stuff becomes, it leaves science and then gets into misdirection and wrong information. So we got to be mindful of that. Those of these articles or these blogs is not what the title of the actual journal and the researchers. Naya, I hear a big echo.
Okay,
so, you gotta hit mute. You gotta mute the. So, okay, so gotta be. Man, I'm hearing. Mindful of that.
It's not me. I'm clear. I'm muted. Muja.
Oh, I'm hearing like 5 different me's talking. All right.
Double up on what you're saying there, bro. Double up on what you're saying.
Okay, let me just say what I was saying. So now we understand that these blogs, we got to be mindful of how people are writing the blogs based on the actual scientific journals. So we got to make that distinction, because a lot of times the blog titles do not match or express in an accurate way what the journal is actually saying. So we just gotta be mindful of that. And that's, it's gimmicks. Everybody do it. They want people to click on their blogs, like, oh shucks, out of Africa theory is debunked, so everybody's gonna click on it and they want, because everybody say the new currency is attention, the likes and the views is the new currency these days. But anyway, so out of Africa theory.
Mm-hmm.
So what does the outer Africa theory deal with? Does it deal with any remains 7 million years ago, or does it deal with something more recent?
No, it's called the recent outer Africa theory. Let's pull it up. And it's clear on what this is. All right. Hold on.
I think Naya has it up.
You got it, Naya? I got it too. All right, this is what I like to do. I always like to do everybody been watching me for years, right? Okay, I pulled that up. I'm gonna do 2 things for you. I'm gonna pull up the source. I'm gonna start off for all those trying to get into a little study, right? I always start off with Wikipedia. Y'all can laugh if y'all want. All right, go ahead and laugh. Ha ha ha. All right, and then I'll pull up a journal of Nature and we can talk about that. All right.
So are you trying to say that you're a wiki scholar?
I'm a wiki scholar. I don't have a problem with that. All right. Now watch this. And that was a good joke early on. But I just like to let y'all know that Wikipedia is considered an encyclopedia these days.
Well, I think the only thing with that is that people are able to go in and put in a lot of user-generated content. So that's all it is, Brother Hunk, you know.
That make it better, though. Because that means more people are challenging.
Yeah, they should do research, you know, go into what it is you find there and take it further and not just stop right there. But yeah.
All right, so this is always a good place to start. All right. But don't just stop at Wiki, because you can't stop at Wiki. That would make you a true Wikipedia scholar. What you do is it'll bring you to references. Hold on 1 second. Let me get.
I was saying Naya already had it up.
No, what the nature?
No, the Wiki.
I ain't looking for the Wiki right now. Hold on, I want to put up the source that Wikipedia used, because that's what I like to do. Hold on. Damn it. Just had that. Told you my computer crashed. Hold on.
Yeah. So while are you pulling it up? I'm just, so Wikipedia, I know I've seen people in the past, they cry about Wikipedia, but people who use Wikipedia, if you see the subscripted numbers or superscripted numbers within the wiki articles, they always point you to a reference at the bottom of the Wikipedia article. And so it's really silly for people to speak negatively on Wikipedia when the references are at the bottom, because in essence what you're saying is that the references themselves are speaking negatively on that, and that doesn't make any sense, because it depends on what's being referenced. That's where you go and you do your literature review. You go review the scholarly work that Wiki is using or quoting or whatever the case is.
All right, so let me show you how we get down around here. All right. So we right here. All right. I'm gonna pull it up. I'm gonna see if I can share my screen real fast for y'all. All right. So we can figure out what the outer Africa theory is and what it's not, so they just don't trick y'all and get y'all looking crazy. What's going on, brother Saul? I'm Raw Squad Up. All right, he must be in silence. See if I can share my screen real quick. Let me show y'all something.
I'll do my impersonation of Saul. Peace. Yeah, man.
All right, y'all see the screen, right?
Yep.
Now, it's called The Recent African Origin of Modern Humans, okay? It says, the recent African origin of humans, also called the Out of Africa Theory, or OOA, Recent Single Origin Hypothesis, RSOH, Replacement Hypothesis, or Replacement African Origin Model, okay, is in paleontology the dominant model of the geographic origin and early migration of anatomically modern humans, Homo sapiens, which proposes a single area of origin, for modern humans. So the Out of Africa Theory, or the OOA, is stating that there's a single origin, right, for Homo sapiens. This is what it is talking about, okay? Hold on. According to this model, modern humans evolved in East Africa and then began to disperse throughout the world, roughly 50,000 to 100,000 years ago. Now, this kills that article that they posted dealing with humans in America. Think about this now. At what? 180? That was 180,000. What was that? 150,000 years ago? Something like that. Yeah, that kills that, because modern humans hadn't even left Africa yet. But let me keep going. It said the single hypothesis is cited as having a scientific consensus. Y'all know what a scientific consensus is? We talk about this all the time. A scientific consensus does not mean that every scientist walking around here agrees with that. It just says that the majority of scientists, all right, agree with this. Okay, so watch this. Now what references are they using in this? Because this is when you're supposed to get good. Let me do this one. It says Chris Stringer, June 2003, Human Evolution out of Ethiopia, Journal of Nature. All right, let me pull it up. Can y'all see that? See my screen?
Yeah.
Here you go. All right, this is my journal. I belong to the Journal of Nature. See my name right there. All right. So it's right here, Human Evolution Out of Africa. This is telling you exactly what it is. Okay. So this is the source. This is the article you got to read in thorough right here. All right. But we get the source out of Wikipedia. And then you go here. Then you go to these references, right? And we'll just read all these references right here. Pablo, McBecker, Clark. You just keep going down. It's about 11 references. So on a good morning, you just sit back, right? And you just read all these. And it's going to end, right? This will give you a good understanding of what the Outer Africa theory is. Okay? Let me click this on real quick. Origin of our species. Can y'all see this?
Yeah.
Y'all got to know what y'all looking at right now. The figure shows a geographical and temporal distribution of hominid. We're going to get into what hominid is, population, based on fossil finds using different taxonomic schemes. All right. Now, if you see this, you'll see Europe, Africa, and Asia. All right. You see they start out here in Africa and they spread. Okay. You see right here, if you look at this point right here, you'll see Homo neanderthalis. You'll see Homo sapien and Homo neanderthalis. You'll see them crossing. You'll see them touching, right? You'll see they two areas coming together. That's where they mixed at. Okay. You'll see a mix of Homo heidelbergensis. Look at this. All this, right? Homo erectus. Okay. Spreading out into Asia, spreading out into Europe and Africa. All right. You'll see these areas where they kind of come together. So what I'm saying is, if you look at this, right, when you look at Homo sapiens sapiens, you're looking at a combination of different, like Homo heidelbergensis, Homo erectus, right? You'll see different aspects of this coming together to form what you call Homo sapiens. All right. So for people to make that argument that, oh man, white people are Neanderthal and all this nonsense, come on, man. You'll find archaic human A00. All right. That clearly shows you that archaic humans mixed with Homo sapiens. Anyway, the point I really wanted to make was that the Outer Africa theory is dealing with modern humans. So don't let them trick you. Okay? Homo heidelbergensis is a human. Homo erectus is a human. Homo neanderthal is a human. Australopithecus, right, is not a homogeneous. It's not a homogeneous family. But at times they seen it classified as a human, but not in a homogeneous family. So you really got to study this information, man, or it'll confuse the hell out you. All right. And it's easy to be tricked. All right. So we got that clear now. We know what the Outer Africa theory is, what it is and what it's not. So these articles that they're talking about aren't dealing with the Outer Africa theory. All right. But they like to write it such like this one right here says, Europe was the birthplace of mankind, not Africa, scientists find. Misleading. This is the telegram. Let me see. Can y'all see that? Let me show y'all real fast. Y'all see the screen?
Yes.
All right, look. Europe was the birthplace of mankind. Mankind. What is the mankind? A kind of a mankind. First of all, not African scientists find. And it ain't even what they find. Because if you go into the actual research, it ain't even saying that. It's not conclusive evidence. They don't say that. All right. So me as a researcher, I wouldn't even deal with this. I'm going to go to the Journal of Nature. I'm going to go to the different journals. Hey, Knight, you got one of the journals? Plow's journal? Nope, now you left the building.
I have the real scientific article.
All right, let me see that journal real quick, Reg. Put that up. You put it on there yet?
Reggie already has it up. You had to lock it on the screen.
All right, you got it up. All right, yeah. So this is the actual abstract on this. All right. in that abstract, it don't even have read that. I can't even see it. Read that. Read the title of that article.
It says potential hominin affinities of the Grecopithecus from the late Miocene of Europe. And then it says the abstract, the split of our own clade from the Panini is undocumented in the fossil record. And see, people should stop right there and figure out what do they mean by our split from our own clade from the Panini or Panini. And so people have to understand that I think Naya, if you had that kind of flow chart, I don't know if you have that available to show. But we have two subgroups of where's it at? We have two subgroups of what's called hominini or hominin, and plural for hominini. They break off into two subgroups. One side is Homo as a genus, and then the other side is Pan as a genus. So they're talking about that occurrence, splitting off from the Panini. So they're talking about this stage right here.
All right, freeze. Watch this. Let me show you something else. Let me show you. Let's go to New Science magazine. Like, I like to deal with these magazines. It's going to be way better than the Blogger. The code of ethics is going to be better, right? They're going to be governed, right? This says, watch this, our common ancestor. New word introduced, our common ancestor with chimps may be from Europe, not Africa. Keyword may be. They're not saying it is. They're not saying that the outer Africa, they're not using any of that. Okay? So in their code of ethics, they know they just can't fake you out like that. They're talking about our common ancestor with chimps. Now, if you've been studying with us, you understand that the common ancestor, the split, that's how we know that chimps and human beings share 98% DNA. There's a reason for that, because we had a common ancestor somewhere. So they're talking about that common ancestor, okay, may not be from Europe. I mean, may be from Europe, not from Africa. So you're talking 7.2 million years ago. This is what they're talking about. This is what that PLOS article is talking about. But the other bloggers are outright pseudo. They're just trying to get views. What is the common ancestor? Okay? It's not talking about Homo sapiens sapiens. These articles, these blogs will confuse you. And so our people will pick it up and they'll start posting stuff on Facebook. But this is not what it's saying. Watch this. You want to read that, Ujao?
It says, right there. All right. It says the last common ancestor we shared with chimps seems to have lived in the Eastern Mediterranean, not in East Africa as generally assumed.
All right. Last common ancestor between chimp and human, if you study, you know, it's about 7 million years ago, man. Do you know how long 7 million years ago is? Long time. Long time. It's not talking about Homo sapiens sapiens, no matter what y'all may seem to think. All right. So it's just interesting, man. It say this blood conclusion comes from the study of Greek and Bulgarian fossil, suggesting that most mysterious of all ancient European apes was actually a human ancestor or hominid. However, other researchers remain unconvinced by the claim. This not even, they working on this. You feel me? So at the end of the day, man, to even put this up as conclusive evidence or as a scientific consensus, it's not even right neither. All right, that's why I tell y'all to get New Science, get the journals, right? Because we're dealing with a code of ethics, and these people are at least trying to at least give you the information. Always go to the raw data. Always go to the journals. Anybody else want to add something on that?
Yeah, I want to say people really have to become familiar, very, very familiar, intimately familiar with these terms, you know, because that's the key to understanding and to follow the actual science itself. Because scientists are very, very particular, very, very detailed. Matter of fact, in that journal itself, they start off one of their paragraphs with definitions. They say here in this study, we define this as this, this as this, and this as this. So they're very particular, and you have to pay attention and be mindful of that. Like, for example, the genus, which is plural, is called genera, and there's multiple genera prior to you coming to the species, the level of species. So if you don't have that understanding, then it could be real confusing real quick for people. And so, and that's what these bloggers, and I won't put bloggers under the bus, but that's what these blogs that people are using are banking on. They're banking on people's ignorance of this to kind of, you know, attract people and make a gimmick out of it. And, you know, it's all good as long as people understand what's up.
What I would like to add is fake news is making a lot of money, right? And advertisers and you know, people who sell products and people who want to make themselves important or named, they need news. So when a scientific journal comes out and says something like possible or potential provides intriguing evidence of what could be the oldest known hominid, that is going to make lots of fake news and bloggers lots of money. Now, our community, you know, are essentially addicted to fake news. So we have all these flat earth Negroes and all of these new biology Negroes, these new melanin Negroes and dopamine and et cetera, et cetera. And they need this to make themselves relevant. But now white science we're talking about, this is science. So science, you handle it a little bit differently. So we're in this age now where, you know, we might get to it or not. I'm not going to be up too late, but there's fake news on Malcolm. There's fake news on Garvey. There's fake news on science, right? And there's fake news on personalities or people like Dr. Ben. There's just fake news, and we have a host of young people who have not had the benefit of higher education, who this is their source of information. And let the young G's fly, and let the you know. So that's the end of my rant for now. But we have to be disciplined if we're going to survive, and it's real.
Yeah, I think you make a good. Hey, Reg, I think you make a good point here, and this is why we do what we do, so we can bring some clarity. Where you at, Asar? He must just be out, just getting off from work or something. I think we
I'm here.
Okay. All right, you want to add something to that before we change? I just kind of wanted just kind of show people, you know, how the bloggers do that and how to really get you the real information. Go ahead, brother.
Peace, everyone on the panel. And no, I'm not throwing the bloggers under the bus. It's Sister Naya, but it's just funny. But anyway, I don't know the dynamics of all of what y'all were talking about initially or what prompted this discussion. But as far as some of the points in which y'all mentioned earlier, you know, as someone who is very steeped in mathematics, you know, a lot of what y'all just said earlier comes from mathematics. First and foremost, defining precisely what something is before you go into discussing it. And, you know, it's ironic that you hear a lot of these individuals on the street corners talking about mathematics, but don't know anything about mathematics and be spreading misinformation, you know, and can't properly define something before going into it. And so a prerequisite for having a discussion on any topic in mathematics or science in general is that you understand the context for which any type of particular subject or or focus is being used, or word or term is being used. And I'm seeing this constantly. You know, people like to use scientific jargon, but don't understand how it's used in science in general, and then don't have the literacy or the competency to read scientific journals and understand exactly what is being said and what is not being said, you know, in those particular works. Now, I remember, for example, and I mentioned this in the comment section, that there was a few articles arguing that ultimately, you know, the great apes, you know, and of course this is millions of years ago, originated in Asia. Now, the ultimate question is, what does all of this mean? Let's just say that our common ancestor did originate in Europe, for the chimpanzees and the Homo sapiens. The question is, okay, so what? Because what people are underlying trying to say is that it is like, you know, the sense that I'm getting from basically what y'all are talking about is that there are some people trying to latch on to the fact that there's possible that human beings came out of Europe. So if that is the case, then this somehow lends some kind of credence to Europeans, modern Europeans, being the top echelon of what it means to exist and be human, or whatnot, or that all civilization and everything originated in Europe and all of this other kind of stuff. And we have to be careful about these types of discussions. Even Diop warned against such attitudes. For example, when he was talking about, human beings coming out of Africa, you know, he was saying strictly on the basis of evidence, do I make this statement? If the evidence pointed to Asia, we would be having a different discussion. You shouldn't put a value judgment on the development of a species coming out of a singular place, because that has no bearing on what you guys are doing now in terms of human beings and being human beings in that capacity or whatnot. So they're trying to do what we call in logic a transubstantive error. And this is when you take, you know, some knowledge from one place that's small and narrow in this place, and then try to apply it outside of its context in areas for which you have, you know, no knowledge in. So it's when we talk about transivity is in mathematics where it's like, you know, if A equals B, then B equals C, or if A equals B and B equals C, therefore A equals C. So we can say that C and A are equal because A is equal to B. That's transivity. And so you make a transsubstance error when you try to say, for example, that C equals A, but you have no established link between C and A like you would have, you know, saying with B. And so it's an issue of mathematics, it's an issue of logic. And people don't, again, they use scientific jargon, but don't understand logic first and foremost, of course, mathematics, and then just the subject matter at hand. And we get all of this confusion, and I'll end there.
Facts. Black African Power was good, Six Dynasty. You was going to say something?
Yeah, just real quick. I wanted to add on to that because in addition to that, we were talking earlier, that it in the bigger picture, bigger scheme of things, it all depends on where you park your car. If you're traveling in a timeline going into the past, it just matters where you stop your vehicle. Because if you stop it at 100,000 years ago, then this is what you're going to describe. If you go back 7 million years ago, then you're going to describe the split between the Pan group and the Homo group. If you go back further, you're going to find that the common ancestor of humans is going to be inside the ocean. It's going to be in the water. So we have to be mindful of that. Like how Asar said, the value people are placing on it is misplaced because they're trying to use it in a wrong way. And that's the sense I got too, that people are trying to use this information to try to up one on the outer Africa theory, basically all this whole Africa thing. Now our common ancestor must be from Europe, and that's supposed to trump that. When it's really silly when it's all said and done, because ultimately you go back, we're single cell organisms, and then you come forward in the future, we find ourselves in the water, and then we come out of the water onto land somewhere, you know. So, and I always say this ends the whole thing. Every single living organism is the same species of its parents and its children. Period. You cannot get around that.
In the chat room, I put your inner fish in there. The PDF, y'all could read that. All right, man. So at the end of the day, as you traverse around planet Earth, you'll find different things that humans evolved from. We just don't pop up. Somewhere along the line, we was in the water. This inner fish, the Telltech fish, absolutely proves. They call it the fish that do push-ups. Absolutely proves that this fish walked up on land. Okay, has hip bones, shoulders, and all that. And I like to always use the example to show you. Let me see. Hold on, real fast. Let me get my thoughts together. We'll use the example of the hoax gene, HOX gene. Look that up, hoax gene. All right. And so genes control body plans. And so that body plan that once was a fish that came out on land is that same body plan, right, that living organisms have. For instance, mammals, fish have the same body plan, right? Like I say it all the time, you got your shoulder blade. Connected to your shoulder blade is how many bones? One bone. You get to your elbow, how many bones past your elbows? 2 bones. So you got your shoulder blade connected to 1 bone, then you got your elbow connected to 2 bones, then you get your wrist. After your wrist, you get many bones. If you look at this fish, you'll see 1 bone, 2 bones, many bones. Look at the cat. Has 1 bone connected to a shoulder blade, right? Then what time you get to your elbow, the cat has 2 bones. You get to the wrist, then there's many bones. Just the same thing in a bear, cat, a whale. All of them have the same things. Look, I put it in the chat room. All right. Look up hoax gene. I'll get that source for you. This is very, very important before you start worrying about where this came from, how it came from. Come on, man. We're living organisms on Earth. All right. For the stage of the Homo sapiens sapien development, so far as of 2000, we want to say as of 2017 is a scientific consensus that the Homo sapiens evolved right on Earth. I mean, in Africa. See if I can find an example of what I just talked about. Let me see. Pattern at the zoo. Let me see. Hold on. Man, that's a good book. We was going to use that in that debate. Remember that, Asal? Let me see. Wait a minute. See if I can find a picture to show y'all real quick. Picture 2 things. Oh, you gonna say something? So I can't cut you. I mean, Ujao.
No, well, why are you looking for? I was gonna just say that when people read the blog titles that says humans and chimps, we have to remember that chimp comes from the line of Pan. You know, the genus of Pan. That's what it's called. And then humans come from the genus line of Homo. So you got Homo and then Pan. And chimps come out of that line of Pan, and Homo sapiens sapiens come out of that line of Homo. So that's what they're speaking about long ago, 7.2 million years ago. The common ancestor between those 2 lines, the Paninia and the Hominini, or the Homo. Mm. And that's what they're talking about. So as long as people understand these terms, everything should be all gravy.
Oh, and Brother Wuja, at one point, I guess before all of the updates and everything, they weren't using that term panini. I think they were using pangids as the part. You know, it's what I'm looking at in the book, which is a cross between the gorilla and the chimpanzee, and it branched off from the hominids, and we would call it pangids, Pongids. Look that up. So I just wanted to say that, mention that.
Right, that's a good point.
Yeah, names change. Yes.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. That's a good point. That's why you have to stay current with the nomenclature. That's a key word. Nomenclature, vernacular, nomenclature. You know, people got to really get that.
All right. Can y'all see my screen?
Yep.
Okay. It say tracing arm bones from fish to humans. Page 37. I put the document in the room. It say I can do a similar analysis for the wrists, ribs, ears, and other parts of our skeleton. All these features can be traced back to a fish like this. This fossil is just as much a part of our history as the African hominids, such as Australopithecus africanus, the famous Lucy. Seeing Lucy, we can understand our history as highly advanced primates. Seeing Tiktaalik is seeing our history as fish. It's right here. Okay. All right. See that fish right there? See the arm bone, like I talked about? All right. Same with his next. Same right there. Same right there. It's a canine. Canines had the same thing. Right? Human arm. Same thing. So y'all also gotta look up the hoax gene. All right. Let's see if I can find a hoax gene for y'all real quick. No, I can. What I say? HOX hoax gene. Oh man, I did that wrong. Hoax. You go hoax genes. All right, I'll just do the first one. Let me show y'all the picture right here. Wait, whoa. Here you go. Y'all see the screen?
Yeah, that's it.
Yes.
Homebox genes expression. Drosophila. Melanogaster. That's the damn mosquito, a fly. All right. See right here? These are genes right here. And each one of these genes, right? The ABDB. Look at this. That gene right there controls this body plan right there. It matches up the color. Look, real simple. This gene right here, right, deals with this body plan. This gene right here deals with the arm in this section. And so on. This gene right here, this gene right here, this gene right here. Read the history of this. Y'all can look it up on YouTube, right? Find the right stuff on YouTube. It can be very, very educational. Hoax genes. Very interesting. A quick explanation for the hoax genes is what they did was, let me give you an example of what they did. They actually took a fly, right? Let me see if I can find that. Let me see. They took a fly, and they're taking a fly, right? Let me turn this off. They was trying to figure out why certain parts of the fly was defected, right? All right. Let me stop this. So they did what? Hawks. How you saying this, Hawks? Okay. So I said you pronounce it Hawks. And the nigga. So this is how they figured it out. They took an embryo of a fly. They took some diluted type of ink, and they shot it into this embryo, right? And they was trying to figure out how the embryo developed. Before this point, they thought it was a lot of thousands of genes that created these complex body plans in nature. That's where they was at. What they found out is that nature was very, very simple, right? And being very, very simple, that just a few genes actually controlled complex structures, like the human body, like insects, right? And so when they shot this ink into the embryo, right, it started to light up. So they shot ink in one portion, right, one gene, right, and that gene that they shot that ink into, to the embryo, it happened to light up. One portion of the embryo lit up. And they was like, wow, so that gene controls that portion of the embryo. They say that's interesting right there. So let's see if this is true. So they took the eyelid gene, the eyelid gene, the gene from the eye that makes the eye of the fly. No, let me turn this around. They took a mouse gene, eye gene from a mouse, and they placed it in the embryo of a fly, right? And when that fly developed, the eye developed. And the fly could see. Then they realized that the same gene that created the eyes in the mouse is the same gene that created the eye in the daggone fly. Y'all can look that up. Very good video. Look into that, right? Excellent study of how they figured out, right, that they're just small amounts of genes, okay, that creates body plans. And this goes with the age-old African thing that everything is interrelated and everything is everything. This clearly shows, right, that we have commonality with every living thing on planet Earth. Very simple. All right. There you go. Anybody want to add something before we move on? Any questions in the chat room? Real quick. Let me see what we got here. Talk about the switches in the genes. Yep, when you talking about the switches, you talking about old genes, new tricks. You know, so people try to get your evolutionary real because of this. You know, you would need millions of genes to create this, create that. No, you don't. Old genes, right, can do new tricks. So the same gene that was once used for one thing, right, can transform and be used for something else. And they call it old gene, new tricks. Let me see if I can find something on that for you. Let's see. Give you an article. Let's see here. There you go. Learning genetics. Let me put this in here. For decades, scientists understood that the process of evolution involves changes in proteins and coding genes. Mutations can change in gene instructions, make it code for a protein with this slightly different function. Let me put this in here for y'all. It's a pretty good site here. They say the modification of gene switches provides another avenue for evolutionary change. Often just a few base pairs, long switches regulate the timing, location, and level of protein expression without affecting the protein itself. Let me put this in here for y'all. Y'all can read this. All right. I'll give y'all that. Then we're gonna move past this. There you have it. All right. Okay. So let's get to Malcolm X real quick. Let's get to Dr. Ben real fast. Let's get to the pseudoisms around Dr. Ben, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X. A lot of misinformation going on here. So we got Brother Reggie on here. Most people don't even understand what Brother Reggie's actual commitment to the community was, and that was making sure, right, that the wise old ancestor, Dr. Ben, was straight. His brother spent years making sure Dr. Ben was straight. He spent years that defeated Dr. Ben. This is a fact. Okay? How do we know this to be the truth? Because Brother Reggie was the person that got all the funeral arrangements together. You're not going to be an outsider, right, and put together all the funeral arrangement. He made sure the obituary was together. He wrote that. These are things that only good friends do. Okay? So we're glad to have Reggie on here right now. Because I'm goddamn tired of hearing people say Dr. Ben died broke in the old folks' home. That's a bunch of bullshit. People don't even understand the inner workings of that. People need to stop that shenanigans. Not to mention, just because people go see Dr. Ben, all of a sudden they Dr. Ben students. That go for that crazy ass Star Ross Pseudo goddamn SETI. I'ma say it. He stays on bullshit with that. Lies. All right? Lies. So young Pseudo, right, lied on Dr. Ben. He said Dr. Ben was broke, right, in the old folks' home. So, Brother Reggie, can you help me out with that, please? Since you're a living witness to Dr. Ben?
Yes, I can.
Primary sources, secondary sources. Go ahead, brother.
I'm trying to share my screen. Something is not opening up. And I have an echo. I don't know why.
I'm going to mute myself then. Let me unmute myself. Let me bring up something about primary sources, secondary sources. All right, go ahead.
I'm trying to show a picture. 1 second, if I can get this picture popping. I don't know why it's not popping. Give me a second on this. All right. So while I try to get this picture up, that's why, because it needs to be somewhere else. Okay, so let me just, okay, so let's see if I can put it here. And I can give you just a, if it comes up, I can give you a little background. Okay. All right. Dr. Joseph Ben Jochanan, roughly around the period of 1996, Dr. Ben had began to have some serious health crises. He had a series of strokes. He had a major stroke in Africa, in Kemet, and they had to bring him back. And he had several other health issues. So by 1996, I mean, Dr. Ben had some very, very serious strokes that affected his memory, affected his speech, affected a number of different things by 1996. 1998, Dr. Joseph Ben Jochanan was recovering, but he was basically at this particular time retired. But he was still honorary. So meaning we never knew when Dr. Ben would be again his greatest, but there were times where it was very promising that he was the old Dr. Ben. So in 96, 98, I didn't know, I never heard of a Sarasun Seti. He may have been around, but in this particular period, I don't know what his age was. Dr. Ben in 96, in 96 or so, let me see, in 86, he was 60, 96, he's, yeah, he's 70 something. And yeah, so I don't know what was going on, if he had a relationship with Sarasun Seti or what type of relationship it was, but in 96 he had begun to be our eldest elder in the context of being very weak. 98, roughly 98, Dr. John Henry Clark, I think passes away. I got to get the right date. Dr. Ben was very feeble at Dr. Clark's funeral. He didn't make a very strong appearance, though he did speak because of his own health crises. How can I say, you care for your elder, you give him space, you give him respect. Was that, you know, Dr. Ben had always been our leader. We always deferred to him. At some point, Dr. Ben began to get really sick. He got dehydrated, even though he had people around him. Dr. Arthur Lewis, for the people who are listening, and people like Sarasun Seti who may be listening, know is very familiar with Dr. Arthur Lewis, who was Dr. Joseph Ben Jochanan's physician, who was also a member of the craft. So Dr. Lewis was basically giving us guidance on Dr. Ben's health. At any rate, Dr. Ben suffers a major setback, and he finds himself, I think around 2011 or so, in the hospital. And then he finds himself after the hospital into the nursing home. Can you still hear me?
Loud and clear.
Okay. So during this period, now, Sarasota said he would come to Harlem and speak about somewhere around 2011. He would. I helped promote an event, Kemet Ruled the World, with Brother Sekou for Sarasota Seti in Harlem. He was beefing with Tahuti, Sarnetta, and beefing with the Nation of Islam. Somehow, I wasn't that connected with Sarnetta at that particular time, so I ended up getting sucked into hosting this event. So the brother Sekou got sick, so I did most of the work in getting Sarasota Seti to actually do this event. Okay, so the event happens. A number of interesting things happen during the event. Fine, but I do meet Sarasota Seti, and I'm in good terms with him. No big problem. Action was pretty okay. No big problems. But at the same time, Dr. Ben was ill. Nobody was talking about. This is the interesting thing. Nobody was talking about health at that particular time. Now, I don't know, I forget the date when Sarasota Seti did the Aline Bay debate. I forget the exact date that he did it, but Dr. Yosef Ben Jochanan at this time had entered the nursing home. He had gotten sick, entered the nursing home, and for the first major time, so he was in the nursing home for a while. I brought Dr. Yosef Ben Jochanan, I did, out of the nursing home, which people are complaining about. Now, let me tell you about the nursing home. Can you still, can everybody hear me?
Loud and clear.
Wonderful. The reason why Dr. Yosef Ben Jochanan went to that nursing home is because his first wife, Rosalie, was already in that nursing home. So the children of Dr. Ben said, wow, okay, we can have a place where we can care for both of our parents. So that's why Dr. Ben entered that nursing home, because his first wife, Rosalie, where most of his children were born from, was in that nursing home. So he had 4 or 5 children that was born from Rosalie, and she was in that nursing home. So Dr. Ben ultimately entered into that nursing home because he needed around-the-clock care, right? Which couldn't happen at home because something happened at home, malnutrition, and became ill. So they want to get ahead of it, so to protect Dr. Ben's life. The picture that I was trying to show, and it's not popping up, I'll try one more time.
Send it to me.
To see if I can get this picture to pop up, is that Dr. Ben asked a few of us if he could come home. He asked, could we work on getting him home? So I had a meeting. The picture is just coming up. You see the picture?
Yeah.
Who's in that picture?
Got it. You there? I see.
Who's in that picture?
Is that Al Sharpton?
That's correct. So
wait a minute, Reggie, is that a fro or is that a hat?
With me, that's the hat that I wear. It's my winter hat. It's a mink hat.
Okay, no, I was just messing. All right.
That's all right. You got a mink hat, and it gets cold in New York, right? So
Russian hat. The Russians are coming.
No, I was just messing with you. Go ahead.
That's fine. That's fine. We get fly in New York sometime. So I know you out in Atlanta and stuff like that. But when that hawk come in New York, so at any rate, so Dr. Ben asked a few of us that was close to him to contact Al Sharpton, because he was a regular at Al Sharpton's organization, African National Network. And so we did. So I had this meeting with Al Sharpton, and you see me, you don't see a lot of people. and Al Sharpton came in his nursing home, and Dr. Al Sharpton said that he would work with us to get Dr. Ben home. So now Dr. Ben, he does come back home. So we get him to come out of the nursing home. He comes back home, and now Dr. Ben becomes Dr. Ben again. He's the boss, right? Everybody's got to defer to him. He's our elder. And sometimes it became a little bit unmanageable because, you know, he had a slight bit of dementia, and he felt that he was the same Dr. Ben, and we're concerned about his health. And or of it, he gets sick again, and then he finds himself inside the nursing home. Now, his first wife is still in the nursing home at this particular time. The family of Dr. Ben says that we could see both of our parents at the same time. So these are obviously the people who are making lies about Dr. Ben being broke. Now, Dr. Ben was a professor at Cornell University. That Cornell University is basically an Ivy League university, correct?
Facts.
Dr. Yosef Ben Johanan has benefits. He has Ivy League benefits, right? Dr. Ben's rent is paid automatically, right? Not by his family, by himself. Dr. Ben's books are in his home. Now, before he goes back into the nursing home, several things unfortunately happen. There becomes a lot of people who are going to Dr. Ben's house where he has AIDS, and they begin to partner themselves with Dr. Ben. And they begin abusing it. They begin, at one point, people set up a whole office in his house. They had fax machines, Xerox machines, and they were copying his books, taking his books, etc., at will. So then there was an officer, Queen Nasia, who was very helpful in dealing with elder abuse, got all of them out. Got all of these people out that had access to Dr. Ben, who Dr. Ben liked the company. So now all this time, anybody can knock on Dr. Ben's door in his house and come in and do what they want and do photo ops and et cetera. Unmanageable because, you know, you have to look over Dr. Ben 24 hours, 7 days a week. And we just could not do that. And gets sick. He goes back into the nursing home. Dr. Jeffries calls me, tells me Dr. Ben is back in the nursing home. And then my job again is to watch over Dr. Ben. So I live 2 blocks from where Dr. Ben was living. So I basically saw Dr. Ben once or twice a week for years. Now, at the nursing home is interesting because, again, anybody can come and see Dr. Ben. Now, he's in a nursing home. The family put him in the nursing home. Now, anyone could come and say Ben is being mistreated, etc. Now, unfortunately, one of my jobs was to make sure Dr. Ben was clean, to wash his clothes, and etc., which I did. Until I got his clothing registered, so he could watch it. Wash his clothes. Now, it's easy for someone to come out of town and make judgments. But here's the thing. You could see me anytime with Dr. Ben's family. Of his children. I was at the funeral of his son who got shot. I was at the funeral of his first wife and the funeral of his second wife. I never seen any of these people who say that they are Dr. Ben's students in any of those places. The people that were there were the usual ones: Dr. Jeffries, myself, and some members of the craft. Right? I didn't see any of these people who say they love Dr. Ben so much and that they fed him. So what? You fed him for 1 day or 2 days. So what? Did Dr. Ben's family know that you fed him? Family know you? No, absolutely not. So the critical issue comes down to is you can do anything you want when it's an open door policy and you don't have to deal with the family. The critical thing is that it's the family's decision. Dr. Ben was not broke, right? Dr. Ben, yes, he died in the nursing home. I was one of the last people to see him, right? Dr. Ben signed the do not resuscitate order at some point, and that was a difficult process for the family, and et cetera, et cetera. These people, they say they love Dr. Ben, but they dishonor him by making him uncared for and unloved. That is something that they will have to live in, and that's a charge that I am saying to them. If they do not like what I'm saying, they can speak to the family, but they will never speak to the family because the family will tear them a new asshole. Dr. Yosef Ben Jochanan, unless you have any more questions, that is there were a lot of people that cared for Dr. Ben, the craft of Hunefer, the craft of the other craft. I know that people did come out of town to see him occasionally, like Asra Kwesi, I did. And I do know that Sarsu said he came a number of times to see Dr. Ben, but really just to see him. Money, and then just criticize where he was at, but he wasn't part of the community. And if he had anything to say, he could have said it to the person that he knows what I know, and that is Dr. Arthur Lewis. I'll keep that like that, and he knows he could talk to Dr. Arthur Lewis anytime, and Dr. Arthur Lewis was his chief physician. And he knows Dr. Arthur Lewis because his uncle was a craft member with Dr. Arthur Lewis. So he can say whatever he wants to say blindly. Arthur Lewis tells it, it'll be a whole nother story. So
and we know Arthur
Huh?
Lewis is to the
Well, I'm not saying that. I'm not going to talk about.
I'm not going to do it neither. I'm saying
Right.
I'm not going to do it neither, but don't play.
Right, but
Stop
he knows who
stop
Dr.
letting
Arthur
YP
Lewis.
disrespect the elders. That's what he need to do.
And Dr. Arthur Lewis was mainly in charge of Dr. Yosef Ben Jochanan's health as being his physician who kept Dr. Yosef Ben Jochanan alive for many years.
Facts.
So
Changed his diet and all that. Facts.
that's correct. And he was a member of the craft of Hunefer. Now, so if anybody has anything to say about Dr. Ben's health, talk to Dr. Arthur Lewis, but that particular person, I don't think he would be talking about Dr. Arthur Lewis too loud, because Dr. Arthur Lewis will say what he needs to say. And we're just going to keep that in the family.
Yeah, we're
So-
going to in the family.
Okay, so I don't have anything else to say about Dr. Yosef Ben Jochanan, the elder who is my Keru, except for he was my elder. I cared for him. If he wanted to leave the nursing home, he would let me know. I got him out of the nursing home. You see me with Al Sharpton. I took Dr. Yosef Ben Jochanan myself, for the last event of honoring the elders for ASCAC. I did that myself, right? On behalf of a number of elders who asked me to do it. And people trusted me to travel with Dr. Yosef Ben Jochanan. So they could say how close they are. None of them was closer to Dr. Ben than myself. And I had a similar relationship with Dr. John Henry Clark. So they could keep lying all they want, but they can show you a picture where they did something for Dr. Ben. Show me a picture. Show me a picture, not a photo op. Show me where you, either Dr. Ben himself or others, did something. And when I talked to Al Sharpton, trust me, that's because of Dr. Ben. Dr. Ben said, Brother Reggie, go and talk to Brother Al Sharpton. Tell him we need his help to get me out of here. And I did that. And Al Sharpton pulled a lot of strings. And ultimately, at the end of the day, Al Sharpton donated more than $20,000 for Dr. Ben's funeral. Now, all these other cats, we ain't seen no envelopes on Dr. Ben's funeral. We ain't seen no envelopes. Hey, off of talking about Dr. Ben, we ain't seen no envelopes of you being a major contributor to Dr. Ben's funeral. The craft of who never paid, Al Sharpton paid, and the community donated. Anything else, you can lie all you want. You can, or just let us know when and who you sent the money to. But Dr. Ben did not die poor. He died well cared for. He just did not die in his home. But neither did John G. Jackson. John G. Jackson, many of our elders died in nursing homes because at some point they needed critical care. So if you don't have any more questions on Dr. Ben, but if you do, you can ask me. But I'm just trying to say for the record, I was there. I gave critical care.
Facts.
Right? And they did not. So there's no way whatsoever they could come up and say they did. How much time did you spend with Dr. Ben? Right? Or it does not matter. The fact of the matter is, no matter who I am, I serve the elder quality of life. And you can see it in film. You can see me bringing them to Arlene Bay's Sarasota City. Dr. Ben said, where am I going? I said, to see one of your students. I said, what's his name? I told him Sarasota City. He says, well, you know, Brother Reggie, I got a lot of students. I don't know. But anyway, I want to see him. You can see the tape. You can see how much Dr. Ben recognizes him or not. Dr. Ben had hundreds of students. So, but one thing is for certain, Dr. Ben knew me, right? And that's because of my service. So I was honored to bring Dr. Ben to Sarasota City's debate with Arlene Bay. You know, Sarasota City at that point, I mean, he was a great young man at that debate. But later, the point to come out to say that Dr. Ben could not measure, or the meta-nature was not deciphered, dishonors the core of Dr. Joseph Ben Jokan's work.
Facts.
To be close to say that you're close to him, for him to have all of these books with the meta-nature in it, from Giza to Abu Simbel, right? To have a book like that where Dr. Ben went into the temple and hand drew all that meta-nature from every corner of that place, and to say, well, Dr. Ben did not know what this meant. That is completely untrue. Okay, so that was long, but I just wanted to clear that up to stop these people from lying on Dr. Ben, especially people not talking about Sarasota City at this time, but the other people who lie on Dr. Ben, who was not even born when Dr. Ben was doing his critical work. In 87 with Dr. Joseph Ben Jokan, he was already 60-something years old in 86. Some of these children were not even born to be even talking about Dr. Ben. And even then, some of the other ones were basically teenagers. Because I was 21 myself, right? 21 myself. So they were basically 16, 15, and some of them probably wasn't even born. Talk and lie on the elder. So I think I'm finished with that.
Yep. Yep. So you got teenagers and niggas that wasn't even born talking shit. Man.
I mean, does it matter? It doesn't matter if you knew Dr. Ben at 14 years old or 15. Does it really matter? How dare you talk to him when you was a sperm, or not even a sperm in the womb? How dare you talk about this great man and his work, right? And then say the black woman is God and everybody else is a motherfucker. How dare you dishonor great people who gave up their lives and you have done nothing but just be a YouTube speaker? And I'm not disrespecting them. They have not been on the great and mighty walk of Dr. Ben and Dr. Clark. And certainly, look, I'm 52 years old. Malcolm's death date is 52 years old. Malcolm died on February 21st. I was born on March 9th of the same year. Already lived and died before I was born. I have to show some difference, huh?
Mm-hmm.
No, it wasn't. So he died before Martin?
No.
All right, then. So he was born.
Yeah, he died in 65. Martin died in 68.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. Yep. I was born in 68. Yep. So let me get this straight. Hold on, Red. Let me get this straight. Let me tell you what the pseudo claim is. The pseudo claim is, first of all, the Dr. Ben died broke. That's a goddamn pseudo-ass claim of people who never even really knew Dr. Ben at all. I never claimed to know Dr. Ben was dead, but I know people that do. And I can talk to them. I call them on the phone. That's why I'm bringing Reggie here to prove this point. We could bring Leonard Jeffries to prove the point, but the little son of a bitch might get disrespectful and say something about Leonard Jeffries because he's disrespectful. So you lied about Malcolm, right? Bull crap. Lied about Dr. Ben. You're trying to degrade all of the true African-centered people, real black power, those who were dedicated to the uplifting of black people, right? And you got this voice on YouTube, you think you did something. Boy, shame, shame, shame on you. And shame for the people around you that allow you to do that for you. It's a bunch of crap, man. Well, this is what we're with these days. We're with a bunch of crap. A bunch of YouTube scholars. I ain't gonna call them YouTube scholars. This YouTube foolery, pseudoisms at an all-time high. It's crazy, man. Sperm. Sperm ain't got a nerve to talk about Malcolm. Man gave his life for black people, and little chicken shits talk shit. That's crazy. Man, that's crazy. Man, I do not understand that, man. People get a life, and all they get. Crazy.
About Malcolm, this is what I heard. So I heard someone called in the general and asked him, well, you the Black Power cartel. That's what you are, the Black Power cartel. But the young dude is saying that to be pro-black causes pro-white.
Dumb as shit.
And so he's anti-pro-black because you pro-black niggas. But the general is the general of the black cartel, right? So he's indirectly talking about the general. But the big problem is, and someone asked, I heard, and this is just what people say, but somebody asked, and they said that, well, what about all of this stuff that you were saying about Malcolm hanging up on parents? And I heard that somebody said, well, they got that from the FBI reports. So they're going to use the FBI reports as being valid, as being truthful?
They didn't get it from the FBI reports, Reggie.
Well, I'm not saying that they did, right? But this is what they said, so I want to clear that up.
Shit, the FBI taped everything. One thing the FBI said about Malcolm was that nigga was clean as a damn whistle, yo. Trust me. They might have said different shit about Malcolm. I mean about Martin, but they said Malcolm, yeah, his shit was above board.
Well, I'm gonna say this. This is the thing. At the time Malcolm X was making most of his press conferences, he was a member of the Nation of Islam, the most important, powerful black organization at that particular time. So you might as well start talking about Elijah Muhammad. Come on, don't lose your balls now. So Malcolm was a member of the Nation of Islam under the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. So why don't you extend that talk to Elijah Muhammad? Go ahead, see what happens. See, it's easy to talk about Malcolm, but Malcolm wasn't doing nothing that wasn't confirmed by the most honorable Elijah Muhammad at the time when he was Minister Malcolm X. Omar Wali, but Minister Malcolm X. So why don't you could talk about Garvey, you could talk about Malcolm, you could talk about King. Why don't you extend that and say something negative about the most honorable Elijah Muhammad? Come on. You see, it's easy to talk about a dead man, but there's some dead men that you don't talk about. So go ahead and look. That won't be a good thing at all. But since you so anti-pro-black, talk about the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, because he was very pro-black, even though he was Islamic. He gave us a new type of Islam. So the people that's listening, they know what I'm saying, right? So extend that to the most honorable Elijah Muhammad and say the most honorable Elijah Muhammad was hanging up on black people. Because when you're talking about Malcolm, so you really can't be talking about Malcolm, because Malcolm was just an employee, a minister of that organization. So won't you talk about that organization? Put that charge on that organization, see what happens.
Well, there we go, ladies and gentlemen. All right.
I'll be looking for the next YouTube video for him to talk about the Nation of Islam, that they was hanging up the phone, right? Because Malcolm wasn't doing this on his own. He wasn't doing this. He was basically the national spokesman person for the Nation of Islam until he was silenced. And when he was silenced, Malcolm X was pretty much, yes, talking about the plight of the black man, but in a different way without the Nation of Islam, and he formed the Organization of Afro-American Unity. Now, I went on May 19th, as I have been doing for the last 30 years, and we asked Brother Willie Stark, who was a young bodyguard of Malcolm X on the day of the assassination. He's one of the last of the people that was there that was part of Malcolm's organization. Now, Willie Stark is a soldier of soldiers, a real general, real quiet. He was Ella Collins' bodyguard. And Sinetta's going to put it up, and he said it in clear, cold words. And you can see it on his face. And I am telling you that that would not be a good thing to say that around Brother Willie Stark. And he's 80-something years old. So I'm just trying to say that, man, it's easy to be in a conscious community talking, but there are elders that are hearing this, and they know that this is untruthful, and they have guarded Malcolm's legacy for many years. And there's other suckers like Boyce Watkins who got stuff to say about Malcolm X. We just waiting, right? We just waiting, saying Malcolm X wasn't a good father. He left his children out in jeopardy. I ain't never gonna forget that from Boyce Watkins, who I never seen with Malcolm X, right? Had no right to say that. And so you could say anything that you want, but you know, there's penalties. There's penalties on my end. I could say something about any of them. They're not going to forgive me, but I'm telling the truth. So that's my 2 cents about clearing the name of how Dr. Joseph Benjo Cannon and my comments about Malcolm X. And you will see me on May 19th, and you will see me in a black community. And one thing you won't see any of them in the real black community. They're not leading nothing but toy soldiers.
All right, man. Hey, Ujala, you want something to add to that and move on or what? Where you at? Are you gone? You disappeared.
Oh no, I'm just listening. I'm listening now. You know, I'm listening. I'm waiting for the next big thing.
So there y'all have it, man. Heard straight from the mouth of somebody that was with Dr. Ben. There you have it. Okay. All right, man. So look, man. Man, any closing statements on the whole conversation, Ujala, Naya, or Kaba, real quick?
No, I'm good. It was a perfect show. As always, information overload. People want information. They don't want the drama. So that's what the squad always do. Provide peace and love to everyone.
Yeah, we clean that bullshit up. How about you, Joe?
Yeah. I just want to reiterate, you know, we all got to slow down, and information is not, you know, we can't learn in microwave and speed through. You can't go 90 miles an hour to a stop sign, to a red light. It's just not going to work. You can't sprint at a marathon. Scholarship is a marathon. You got
are not.
Hold up, I'm hearing an echo. You got to pace yourself when you're doing scholarship. You have to do literature review what the field of inquiry or the scientific field says about it, so you can be abreast on what are the pros and cons, what are the arguments are going on, if there are indeed arguments that are happening, and then you bring something to the table to support one of the sides of the arguments, or you bring your own. You bring new evidence that's going to shape the consensus of both sides of the argument that have taken place prior to you. So we just got to keep all this stuff in mind. And, you know, so I don't have anything to really add. I did wanted to talk about some of the things I heard on the Garfield Zion Lex sit down with Egypt, the 42 laws of Ma'at, and Egypt called the land of Cush, or called the Cushites, Nubia. But we could do that another time. I know it's late.
Yeah, we'll do that tomorrow. Surely made shit up. I mean, it's just so much work for us to do. How about you, Asar? Any closing statements, brother?
The black man is God. That's it.
Black man is God. Oh, but for those who are listening that live in Atlanta, come out Saturday.
You got the fly? Got the fly? Damn.
Give me a minute to put that up.
Damn it. That Pseudo tour is going down. It's going all the way down. We're addressing all the phony, corny claims that has held the so-called community hostage. The foolery. All right. Make sure y'all be there. Man, 27th, Metropolitan Library. Y'all gonna put the flyer up.
Yeah, let me share my screen.
See people getting kicked out the chat room for just being crazy. You kicked out.
So what's people saying in the chat room? I mean, you know, I know it's late. You need to take a question.
Kicking them out so goddamn quick. We don't get a chance to read the shit.
All right, I have the flyer up. But yeah, y'all come out and kick it with us Saturday. No Pseudo tour. I could say what the topic is that I'll, you know, bring up and discuss with everybody, share with everybody, is the question. I raised the question: what do UFOs, magic, and God have in common? So that's the question. What do UFOs, magic, and God all have in common? And so that's what I'm gonna discuss in my time, you know, and hopefully y'all come out, kick it. Let's just have that discussion. We'll go over that.
And we talking about the third eye. All right. How that third eye come from? Y'all gonna be surprised. We're gonna deal with that third eye. We're gonna deal with that pineal gland.
All right, but that's the you got it. I think you got locked on me.
Yeah, yep. Hold on.
All
Yep. Locked on.
All right, so it's Metropolitan Library, 1332 Metropolitan Parkway, Atlanta, Georgia, 30310. Saturday from 1 to 5. So come on out. Be there. If you do your best to get there on time so we can kick it off. Brother Black Panther will be there. Myself, Brother Unk, and I believe Nahisi. I'm not sure. I don't want to say that, but yeah, just come out, kick it.
Be there.
Right. All right. So that's gonna be the topics, and we're gonna and address pseudoscience versus science.
Pseudoscience versus science.
Right. Pseudoscience versus science. Like, what is pseudoscience? How we using the term pseudoscience? And yeah, just come out, ask questions. We had a good time. We have a good time. We even have a good time after build. We go out and support a Black business, Black restaurant, whatever, go out to eat, and we just continue the conversation. And that's really where it gets good too. So come on and hang out Saturday. If you got children, hey, it's family orientated as well. People have been bringing their bringing their young ones so they can get some knowledge as well. So
yeah, I think we've been knocking down a lot of those claims, man. Class has been real interesting, man. We're enjoying ourselves, and I mean, that shit's free. How about that?
Right, it's free,
and it's catching on like wildfire. So y'all need to be there. All right, get them free classes. Need to be there. Get them free classes off the chain. Hey, Naya, you want to close? You got something to say? This period. Ujao, you might want to explain those clads.
No, you said Naya, and now you're going to Ujao. I just want to say, I think that it's important, in our community, that we learn how to read science, or just I think statistics is important. We have to start to break it down, because eventually we have to develop our labs, and we have to know how to properly address issues. And for me, just reading science is not enough. We have to understand it, and we also need to understand statistics. And like Asar says, mathematics, although I'm not good at mathematics, I certainly know how to read statistics.
Yes, indeed, man. Nomenclature. I always say that on Facebook. Nomenclature, vernacular, definitions. We got to understand the lingo, the so-called jargon. Got to understand it, because in different disciplines, in different scientific disciplines, words can be used differently. I always use the example of law with the word person. Person to the lay person on the street, we use the word person a certain way, but in the courtroom, in civil court or whatever, a person could be a business. A business is actually a person. A legal fiction is a person. So you just got to understand how these terms are used. And please, if you're ever going to talk about evolution, learn about taxonomy, the taxonomic classification system, how they categorize things, and what are the requirements for these particular categories. In other words, what is required in order to put this object into this particular category. You have to learn that, so that you can follow along and understand. And, so that's it.
Can I add one other thing? There is a incredible documentary on Sheikh Anta Diop called Kimitu, and it's some very rare pictures of Dr. Sheikh Anta Diop that we haven't seen, and you will see that Dr. Sheikh Anta Diop created a lab right in Senegal, a modern lab to do his work. All are standing on now. Ujawat, Anka Kek, Saw, all of us, the whole Amira squad, the Masi clan, we are all standing on the work of Sheikh Anta Diop and others. But he made the first modern laboratory to do this work. And so hopefully we get it. I've seen most of the film, Haven't seen all of it, but it's an important film to watch. The young Sheikh Anta Diop lay this stuff down. No pseudo.
That's man, that's important. And since you mentioned Sheikh Anta Diop, Sheikh Anta Diop, we're supposed to. He sets the bar. We're supposed to go above and beyond what he did to build on what he did, not to go backwards. And I think a lot of people that get caught up into the pseudo science, they're going backwards. And if you notice, there's a pattern. They're attacking institutions, number one, and then they're attacking key figures that are pioneers of these institutions. So you'll get people that will attack Malcolm X, people that will attack Dr. Ben, attack even Sheikh Anta Diop and all these people. So we got to be mindful of that. There are people out here. It comes with that kind of territory because there's two veins. There's always a pseudoscientific path and a scientific path. You know, there's a path of ignorance and a path of knowledge. There's a path of science, pseudoscience, path of belief versus path of reality. So we got to understand this split here. And, you know, you got to basically choose your side, and people make their choices, but it doesn't have to be that way. So we just encourage people to study and learn, slow down, take your time.
So
I just want to add that I always say that you can tell the value of a thing by the kinds of relationships it creates. And when you look at the kinds of relationships that certain elders have created in the community and what they have brought to the table, and then you evaluate those individuals and their works, whom we, you know, affectionately call the pseudo group. When you look at their works and what they've produced and what you can do with them or can't do with them, ultimately, that's how you judge the value of what they bring. You have to ask yourself, what everyone is teaching, what can I do with it? What has been done with it? And, you know, can I build and sustain community with it? Like the works of Sheikh Anta Diop, you can build nations with it. And that's primarily because that was his focus, nation building. People talk about his earliest works, you know, dealing with ancient Kemet being black and all this other kind of stuff. But you rarely hear conversations about his book, Black Africa, an economic and cultural basis for a federated state, where all of that information culminates for a grander purpose. You can take what Sheikh Anta Diop put in there because it's a plan. It's a thin book, it's a little book, but it's a plan, a way to organize resources and to come together to build a federated United States. In other words, the United States of Africa. You can use that and build community with it. When you look at the space aliens and the third eye and the chakras and all of this other kind of stuff, ask yourself, what community can you build with that? What economic basis can you build with that? What can you do? What have they been able to do with it? What evidence do we have of such things? It doesn't exist. And so, you know, it's a lot of talk when I think it was Brother Reggie was talking about the lab. Like Sheikh Anta Diop built a lab using science. It still exists today. The university has been renamed in his honor in Senegal. When you look at the pseudos, what have they built? What can they possibly build? And how useful will it be ultimately for the liberation of African people? And those are the kinds of questions you got to ask and find a way to measure and evaluate when you're looking at the types of information that people are presenting to us to be used by us to enhance our current condition. I'll end there.
Yeah. If you want to know a pseudo, just look at their works.
I agree. I agree with Brother Asar. people could talk about science. You show me in a lab. You could talk about melanin. You name the microscope that you've seen it under, right? You name the equipment that you've seen. You won't see the pseudos with no microscope. You won't see the pseudos in a lab. What you will see them doing is reading some white man's book. That's what you see. But you will never see them with the instruments because they don't know how to use the instruments. They haven't been to these places. You won't see them in no museum. Except for saying, well, that's fake. I've been there, but that's fake. But you won't see them with the tools. You won't see them doing high-level mathematics. You won't see their grades. You won't see any of that. But somehow they feel that they got the right to talk to our people. Right? The work is hard. The work is long. Right? You make errors and then you learn to get better. You go through a process. You get graded. Right? Sometimes you don't get the grade that you want. You do it better. Right? You do it better for yourself. They don't get graded. All they get is sounds good, King. I can't wait to get home, King, and relax and watch you, King. Right? But they're not doing the hard work. And at some point, like Brother Saw says, it is going to show because they haven't built anything. They just regurgitated some work that someone else did and think that they're helping black folks who are not reading, who are not studying. And that's not the work that the Amarah Squad, the students of Dr. Ben and Dr. Clark and Dr. Jeffries do. That's not our work. Our work is to be better, to be like the ancients, to always do better than our parents. Not them. They piss on our parents. They piss on the legacy of the greatest people that we know that walk this earth to make themselves feel like they better.
I would like to also add, to piggyback on what he was just saying, is to evaluate their students. Look at the quality of their students and what advancements their students have produced. Everybody that we can name that we say are great have produced students who are just as great as the master teachers. That is world renowned. Whether we talk about Diop, Obinga is, in his own right, but he's still, for a time at least, was an understudy of Sheikh Anta Diop, who have produced people like Abubakar Masalam, Oscar Pafuma, Mubabinge Bilolo, Modupe Oduyoye. The list goes on. When we talk about, your John G. Jacksons and your John Henry Clarks, and these people have produced your Greg Carrs, your Mario Beatties, and individuals such as that. It's like when you look at the students and the quality of work that they produce and how they advanced it, it tells you, in essence, the quality of the teacher. And so that's another way in which you can tell, the value of somebody's works in their teaching. Look at their students and what kind of, and who are the top-notch students of these individuals and what have they produced. And so there's a long continuity. It's an unbroken chain, as Dr. Carr would always say.
First time, brother, or the young dude sat on the couch. He was with Nature Boy when he sat on side at his couch, right? So it's also who you associate with. So he's with Nature Boy. Look what Nature Boy is doing out there, right? So it's the quality of your students, and they have no good students. It's the institutions you build. They haven't built any institutions. It's the quality of the people that you're around. They leave a horrible legacy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I would say, I always say, one of the main goals of a teacher is to produce another teacher, not to produce a student. So that's like the end game. You want to produce a teacher. And so these people that we're talking about, they have produced teachers. And likewise, we follow in their footsteps. And everyone knows that in order to become a teacher, you first have to be a student. So it's a given. It's inherent in the process. But your goal is to become a teacher or to produce teachers. That's what you're pushing, because it's each one teach one. And we gotta, the information is passed on from generation to generation by way of these teachers. And so that's all we do. And that's what we should focus on. So we got to be careful of anybody who attacks this process, and by that I mean people who attack institutions, people who try to divert people away from reading books, and they do it in a slick way. They'll say science is the white man's science to try to deter you from science, to play on your emotions of hatred for slavery and stuff like that, racism, white supremacy, and then label science as that. And then in your mind, you're going to not push forward to make that part of your study. Likewise with institutions, and now even the elders themselves. So we got to watch out for that. That all that stuff is detrimental to our progress.
And serve your elders. It's a good thing to do that. Serve your parents. You don't see these people honoring their own parents, their own mothers and their fathers. How could they honor the other elders? You never see them in a family setting. You don't see that. You don't see them with their children. You don't see that. We're family oriented. So we can honor our extended elders because we honor the elders that that gave birth to us. All of us do that. They don't do that. They're so disconnected. They're on this earth by themselves. And it's like, what's the cartoon, the Disney character with the kids with no parents? What's the name of that thing? What's the name of that Disney? It's a Disney thing where the kids are they're pirates. What is the name of that?
Oh,
they got no parents. Huh?
Peter Pan?
Yeah, they're Peter Pans.
The Lost Boys. I think that's what they call the Lost Boys.
Yeah, that's what they are, the Lost Boys, the Peter Pans. They're not connected to, they're orphans. They don't, and so they don't know how to be African. And we as African scholars know how to be African first. They do not know how to be that. They are the Lost Boys, the Peter Pans of this community.
Trying to act like somebody beating up on the youth. Y'all crazy as hell with that dumbass shit.
Nah.
Excuse my language. It's crazy. We have nothing but young students. Let's get that straight. Intelligent young students. Not willing to make up something, willing to work. Man, if you just looked at how Diop and them did what they did, man, to get us to this point of understanding, man, the spit on that is absurd. You spit on your elders, it's like spitting into the damn wind. Everybody can't be an elder, and everybody sure as hell can't be an ancestor. So once somebody is elevated to the realm of ancestry, initiated into it, like you say, Asar, then that's to be respected. There's a reason for that. The reason why Malcolm was elevated to the realm of the ancestors. The reason why Dr. Ben was elevated to that. It's their work. It's the reason why Diops. Because while their time was here, right, without them, the community would not have been elevated to a certain level. We can look at their works. We can go right back to the Cairo Symposium. Right to the Cairo Symposium. 1974 Cairo Symposium proves my damn point. Challenged, right, scientific community on the people of Africa. Right now, you can do a simple research. I think it's called invading race theory in Africa? Yeah, invading race theory. I think that's it. Ain't that what it is, Asar? What is it, Ujao? Invading race theory. Is that what they call?
And in terms of like what time period? Because the first thing that comes to mind in terms of that, the invading race, as you would say, is like, for example, the so-called Hermetic theory.
Not that one. Not that one.
So that's too soon. Or you talking about?
I'm talking about when it's called, man, when they trying to figure out the race of the Egyptians. And you can go. I know it's a Wikipedia
theory. It's the
not that one.
The dynastic or something race is
invading dynastic. What is it, Joe? Damn it.
But
the name.
Nah, I gave it to you, Naya. What I said was, remember? I said, read this.
Oh yeah, I remember. I can't remember it. I'm tired.
You can checked out.
Sleep is for the weak.
It's for the regardless of the particular word that you're looking for. Another variant of that, or another word is the Hermetic hypothesis.
Yeah.
It's these so-called dark whites, which they call the Hamites, came from Asia and built civilization in Africa, and the Africans took the languages and parts of the culture and spread it into Africa. But it came through these Caucasians, these quote-unquote dark whites, and this is part of that Hamitic hypothesis.
I got it. Dynastic race theory.
Yeah,
that's it. The Hermetic theory is another one too. That's a good one. With white people in Africa, that's crazy.
Oh, I should. One day we're gonna have to talk about this one book I got. Darn it. It's like Pygmy Kitabu. It's called Pygmy Kitabu. And this book is, they swear, again, this is one of those, dynastic race pieces. It has some good jewels, but you have to be able to really discern, what is what, because the author is very racist as hell. But they even got, in this book, they're so bold to say that the Twa are really Caucasians from Europe who came into Central Africa and settled themselves there. And I'm like, this.
That's
but I think this was written in the 70s. I have this other book about the Batwa too, and I was wondering because when I read it, speaking of Dr. Ben and the whole the Mountains of the Moon thing, this person is repeating what Dr. Ben said in that text, and I have it, and I forgot which text it is. And it came out in, I think, like the early 70s, like 71, 72. So I forgot when Dr. Ben's book came out where he was making that argument. But my point being is that they both had to have gotten that from somewhere. And I was trying to see if I could trace the source of where they got that phraseology and those ideas from. But that's another topic for another day.
But that's interesting. I'm saying that's interesting because that what you're talking about is actually set the stage for the continuation of why today people say the 25th dynasty is the Nubian dynasty or the Black Pharaohs and things like that, because they had to fit us in there somewhere, and they kept pushing up to that point. They kept pushing that Egypt was created by way of either Asians or Caucasians. For a long time. So it's kind of saying in that same vein. And this is why I speak against using the word Nubian, which is, we're going to cover tomorrow, I guess, with what was said the other day on the other show about Nubian. Egyptian called Cushites Nubians and things like that. So we need to straighten that out because it's caused a lot of confusion. I think people really need to, learn a thing or two about that so we can't be fooled.
We can rock that clear. Watch this. We're gonna need a whole fresh set of circumstances to do that, right? Make sure it's clear. You smash the saw. We can get real in depth on that. I think that'd be good. I know everybody is winding down on their attention span right about now. But let me throw this in to finish my point about the works, right? that cause people to be elevated to the realm of the ancestors, right? So we deal with the dynastic race theory, okay? It says it's no longer accepted thesis in the field of pre-dynastic archaeology. While it is still accepted, they say while it is still accepted, the Nakata 2 cultural burial abundantly from what is this? Borrowed abundantly from Mesopotamia. There does not exist any clear break in material culture between Nakata 1, Nakata 2 to indicate a native culture was being supplanted by invaders. Let me move down here to the Afrocentricity or not Afrocentricity, Afrocentrism. It says in the 1950s, the point I want to make, when the dynastic race theory was widely accepted, let me say this again, in 1950, when the dynastic race theory was widely accepted by mainstream scholarship, right? The Senegalese Egyptologist Cheikh Diop was publishing his theory that the ancient Egyptians was black, or black Africans. Diop paid special attention to the emergence of the dynastic race theory and claimed that European scholars supported this theory to avoid having to admit the ancient Egyptians were black and to chastise them as Semitic or Caucasian. The reference on that is Epic Encounter Culture Media, U.S. interest in the Middle East. All right, and keep going. Other prominent Afrocentrists, including Mark Bonnell, later also argued against the dynastic race theory in favor of Black Egyptian model. You can read this in Heresy in the Universities, the Black Athena Controversy and the Responsibilities of American Intellectuals. Now, the most recent contributor, I don't even want to read that part. Anyway, let me move on to that's one of the things that Diop did. So remember, he go against the whole establishment with that. How many pseudos amongst you have done that and changed the way people think about their culture? Diop did that. Also, look at the ancient Egyptian race controversy. That's another one, right?
Hold on, brother. Remember, allegedly that was about to happen with young Pharaoh and the professor, but you and Sister Naya ruined all that.
I knew you was gonna blame me for that.
Yeah. Bunch of bullshit. Yeah. Boy, you funny.
He said he was about to be like Khalid Muhammad, and he compared himself to Malcolm X. So it's surprising with his new video, Malcolm X was somehow too pro-black. He certainly compared himself to Malcolm X in that video.
Watch this. It say at the UNESCO symposium, right, on the people of ancient Egypt and the decipherment of the Metic script in Cairo, 1974. That's what I talked about. The Black hypothesis met profound disagreement. It say most participants concluded that the ancient Egyptian population was indigenous to the Nile Valley and was made up of people from north, south of the Sahara who were differentiated by their color. The arguments for all sides are recorded in UNESCO, published in the General History of Africa, with the Origin of Egyptians chapter being written by none other than Cheikh Diop. It says since the second half of the 20th century, most anthropologists have rejected the notion of race as having a validity in the study of human biology. Stuart Tyson Smith writes in 2001, Encyclopedia of Ancient Egyptian is characterized of race of the ancient Egyptian depends on the modern cultural definitions, not a scientific study. Thus, the modern American standard, it is responsible to characterize the Egyptians as black. while acknowledging the scientific evidence for the physical diversity of Africans. Yep. Frank M. Snowden asserts Egyptian, Greeks, Romans attach no special stigma to color of the skin and develop no hierarchy notions of race, whereby the highest or lowest position in the social pyramid were based on color. Okay. Additional typological and hierarchical models of race have increasingly been rejected by scientists in favor of the models of geographical origin. Hold on. They say it is now largely agreed that dynastic Egyptians were indigenous to the Nile area about 5,000 years ago. The Sahara dried out and part of the indigenous Sahara population retreated eastward towards the Nile Valley. In addition, people from Middle East entered the Nile Valley, bringing with them wheat, barley, sheep, goats, possibly cattle. Dynastic Egyptians referred to their country as two lands. During the pre-dynastic period of about 4,800 to 4,300, the Median culture flourished in the northern part of Egypt, Lower Egypt. This culture, among others, have linked the Levant to the Middle East. It says the pottery of the Butu Madan culture, best known from this site, Madi near Cairo, also shows a connection to the southern Levant. So anyway, at the end of the goddamn day, you got to look at. Hold on, I might as well just finish reading this shit. Two lands on the pre-dynastic period. I said that this culture, man, I did that. The Cairo say also shows connection to southern Levant as well. It say in the southern part of Egypt, Upper Egypt, the pre-dynastic Madarian culture was followed by an Akkadic culture. These people seem to be more closely related to the Nubians than with northern Egyptians. Let me see this. Hold on. See what source they're using here. Zakwali Sauma, population containing or population change, formation of the amount of Egyptian state, American Journal of Psychological Anthropology. I have a source for that. Interaction dig, Heliopolis, Nubian pottery. Okay, due to geographical location and crossroads of several major cultural areas, Egypt has experienced a number of foreign invasions during the historical times. Anyway, at the end of the day, all this shit, all that I'm talking about right now, right? If not for the great Sheikh Anthony Diops, they still be running around acting like the Nile Valley population was not indigenous. And for this, Diops is elevated, right, to the level of ancestors, because without his work, we would not be lifted, right, and the community would not be better off for it. That's the whole goddamn long point I was trying to make. You know?
Hey, I want to say this too. I'm reading the comments. Somebody asked who founded UNESCO and all that stuff.
Yeah, hell with all that shit.
No, I know, but I'm saying it's like who founded Google and YouTube, as if to say that based on that or bringing that up, as if to say that you can't find a Google or YouTube video that is all wise, right, and exact, factual, helpful, et cetera, et cetera. So those are irrelevant, divergent topics that people bring up.
Especially when you're using the internet. So who founded the internet, Negro? Why are you using the internet? Why are you using the phone? Why are you riding the train or a car? Right?
That's why we got to be, man. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's exactly what you're saying. You see, it's illogical. Their arguments are illogical. You are using modern technology, right? You're using institutions that create standards, right? UNESCO is a standard creating organization for a number of different things, and you're worried, but you're using the internet, and you don't see the contradiction. Listen, take a flight out there, join Nature Boy, bathe in the river, right? But I tell you one thing, you won't be bathing in no African river. You might get away with a South American river. You go out there and bathe like that in the African river and see what happened to you. So look, like these people are anti-society, very, very limited. Science means that you use the tools that are available for you. You use the institutions that are available for you. Otherwise, we're not going to win this war. We're going to be right back into slavery. Dig?
I'm gonna put this in the chat room for you, so you know who started UNESCO. The hell wrong with y'all, man?
Yeah.
There you go. Read it for yourself.
No, he said we're very emotional. No,
Very emotional, man. Get out of here with that.
No, the point. No matter what the point is, my point is that what happens is that people will divert the issue or the point and create a frivolous or a something else, and then people gravitate towards that. We have to understand that what we're talking about is scientific literacy. What we're talking about is correct method, rigorous research methodology. All of these things are already, as it is, it's already difficult to get people on board with that. So we have to stay focused and not be easily distracted by side points. Not even to say if the side point was a negative thing, but we got to careful, because it's easy to get distracted because we tend to go the lazy route and everything. Like, okay, so now if somebody looks up who founded UNESCO, let's say all of a sudden it's a white person who founded UNESCO, this and that other, that's going to give an excuse for people to be like, oh, nah, I ain't even going to research nothing. Use UNESCO. Everything Unc said about UNESCO, up, let me get rid of it. Check out the G.I. Dr. Theophilo Benga, up, forget that. Forget their works because they dealt with UNESCO. And I'm not now people didn't say that in the chat, but that's how it can go. So us knowing that,
Josh Coleman, yo, we took your point wrong, yo. We apologize, brother. All right. So what was your point for saying that? Just curious. Let me see. Get that out. We don't want to misrepresent somebody's ideas at all. What's your point for saying? To be careful? What's this? Julian Huxley with others did already know. Okay. I mean, I don't get the point. What's your point, though? I'm trying to figure it out. The point I use it for is because that was a platform that Diops and Theophile Banger used, you know what I'm saying, to prove that the population in the Nile Valley was indigenous people. That's why that was my point for using it.
I mean, but you wouldn't have to go to UNESCO, just go straight to Diop's work. So, I mean, Benga's work, just go straight to the works.
And it just speaks to your point. You're on the saw point, though, that what do the pseudos leave? And I was showing them what people like Diops left.
Right.
Dr. Ben left. They left works.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it's these side points, and because they're our audience, we have to respond to them and not try to change their mind.
Now, he said he wanted us to break down their agenda. The agenda is to save world historical sites, man. That's their agenda, bro. That's what they do. They got the money and they preserve historical sites.
Okay, can I add one thing? Because I'm reading the chats, and so I see Ms. London Taylor. Reggie already did, very emotional. Brother Reggie is very passionate about this work. I'm 52 years old. I've spent an enormous amount of resources in my life's time. I am passionate about educating our people. I do this a lot. You see me, Ms. London, if you watch, you see me with the elders. My elders are very passionate. Dr. Leonard Jeffries is very passionate. Professor Small is very passionate. But you saw me with Dr. Joseph Bento-Cannon, who is very passionate, and Dr. John Henry Clark, very passionate. Professor Edward Scobie, very passionate. If you heard any of them speak, you may call it emotional, but we give up so much for our people in the context of education. So to limit me to emotion is very limited when I'm emotion. It's a feeling without any connection. my work is around educating African people, and I do it very well. I do it very well. If you ever get a chance to go to a museum with me, you ever get a chance to have a conversation with me, you will find that you will learn. And I'm a student too, so I'm always learning. But to limit a black man, do you say white people are emotional? Who are you comparing me to? I am not trying to be overly charismatic, but what I said on this show has bearings, something that you can learn from, at least my experiences. So please don't limit me. I don't know you, sister. I would not want to limit you, or I would not want to limit your sons or your daughters. But to limit another black man is doing the service of the white man, right? Especially when people put in work. I am older. I am 52 years old. I am not a child. And with all respect, if you are not 52 years older, 50 years old, I am your elder. Any connection with our people's culture, then you should understand that there's a slight deference that you should pay because I am an elder and I do this work. So
I'll say,
Yeah.
Hey, let me see something.
Hey, you got to get a backlink out when we do this again. Just get a backlink out at the end, because at the end of everything like this, we gotta give people a chance to ask questions or something, because that's what's going to have to happen.
They don't want to get in here, y'all.
That's a good thing to have
They don't want to get in here. Maybe we had the phone lines up tomorrow. How about that?
Yeah, either way, it's great. Yes, indeed, because things might get lost in the interpretation, or people click in late and they don't see the points that were made earlier and things like that. That's how it is. Just happens like that. Yes, indeed. But science is the way to go. Science works. Pseudoscience does not work. Pseudo meaning fake, science meaning knowledge, fake knowledge. You can't get anywhere. Just like fake food. You can't eat fake food. You try it, you get sick. Can't drive around in a fake car. So what makes us think that we can have progress with fake knowledge? We can't. Science works. Pseudoscience doesn't work. And it's like a continuum. If the percentage of pseudoscience overshadows science, then you're going to fail. It's the bottom line.
And if you're speaking about ancestors that were killed in battle, like El Hajj Maliko Shabazz, Malcolm X, and King, and you're nothing but an assassin. You're assassinating them again. You're no different than the people who assassinated.
You ain't lying, yo.
Right? You're an assassin. You go down in the history of being an assassin because you're speaking negatively about someone who was assassinated for Black people. Right? You dishonor your ancestors. Right? And there's a penalty to pay. So when you start using these words about spirituality and all that stuff like that, there's a penalty that if you believe that, there's a penalty that you pay by dishonoring Dr. Yosef Ben Cannon, Dr. John Henry Clark or Garvey or Malcolm X or any of those. That's not African. You're something else. And so you're just killing Malcolm all over again.
And also I see people with this Ma'at. I see this a lot. People in conversations, people will say, do we practice Ma'at? I know Joseph Coleman just said we just read Ma'at, we have to practice it. And that's very true. That's fine. But you'd be surprised. A lot of people really don't know what Ma'at actually is.
I know.
But yet we'll say it, things like that. So,
Nah, Joseph, you got a little slight game with you, bro. I read in your comments, you got a little. Why don't you explain to us what the hell you was asking? It seemed like you know more than you trying to tell. Let's do that. Let's start off with that, bro.
I give him the link.
Why you asked the question? When I gave an answer, you said it was vague. Now, the only reason you know it was vague because you must have had more information. What is your point about the UNESCO thing? Give us your clear point.
And I guarantee you, his point is a diversion from the point that we were on, and that was my whole point. My whole point is that when people do that, it diverts. Not to say the brother is saying something negative or anything like that. It's just that wasn't the point. And see, we gotta keep it focused. We gotta learn to stay on topic, keep the focus going and stuff like that. We're pushing science. And your point for bringing up NESCO in the first place, as you said, was to support what Asar was saying about institutions and what teachers leave behind and so on and so forth.
Right.
So if that's not in the same scope of that point, then that's a separate conversation. And that's cool. We can have that, but that's different. We just got to acknowledge that. We got to learn how to communicate and have discussions. Man, we need discussions one-on-one again.
I think you're right. The conversation be too serious to be running all through rabbit holes. Go ahead, Asar.
I was just going to say on that point, you know, another example of what you were talking about in terms of shifting the consciousness in important places is, as it regards Cheikh Anta Diop and Dr. Theophilo Obenga, we have to remember that they also have shifted the orientation of an entire Egyptology department in Spain in terms of Barcelona. So the head of that Egyptology department is Dr. Joseph Carvello, I think, Ortorori. And this is with the he's at the University of Barcelona, Spain. So, you know, as a result of their works, now when they're looking at trying to answer certain mysterious questions as it regards ancient Egypt language and culture, they only look towards Africa because the other places can't explain. But this is a direct result of Cheikh Anta Diop and Theophilo Obenga, where they changed the whole Egyptology department, you know, in Spain in terms of that direction. And it's slowly trickling in terms of methodology in other important areas as well, and other schools of thought as well. And so, you know, that's a testament to, you know, the power of his approach, the kinds of questions he was asking, and his overall impact, you know, on the whole field of Egyptology, to the point where they can't even come out directly, you know, and make the same arguments that they tried to once before. And now, and this is something I wanted to add earlier to the conversation, it's not only about, you know, your students. You teach students in your particular field, not so that you will always have a master teacher and student relationship. What you're doing is you're developing colleagues. And this is the difference between, you know, certain people who, you know, are teachers, but their students never get to that level of where they are and produce, you know, the same quality works. You're supposed to produce and help to develop colleagues. So, you know, if Cheikh Anta Diop was alive today, it wouldn't just be him and Theophilo Obenga. We now have a whole Afrocentric school of Egyptology coming out of Africa that backs up and is continuing and building on the works, I should say, of Cheikh Anta Diop and Theophilo Obenga. It's an army now of colleagues taught by these individuals and or inspired by these individuals who are now making, you know, some very important, how should I say, discoveries and analyses and publishing works and things of that nature, that the world Egyptology community has to contend with and even cite. Like it interested me that I was looking at Gabriel Takak's book on his the few books that he was able to publish before he passed, dealing with the etymology of certain words in ancient Egyptian. So it's 3 volumes that were out. The initial introductory one, there's one on the letter M, so all the words in Egyptian dealing with the letter M, and then I think it was P, BP, and something else. I forgot what the other letter was. Those are the only 3 that came out. But in it, who is, besides all of the European Egyptologists and stuff like this, when it comes to analyzing words, who else is he citing? Sheikh Anta Diop, Theophilo Obenga, and another brother out of the Caribbean Egyptologist. I forgot his name, only because I need to think of it at this moment. But it'll come. I know it's Dr. Allen, Dr. Anselin.
Alan Anselin.
Dr. Alan Anselin, out of the Caribbean, who also is the head of this journal, out of there. But I'm looking at these African-centered Egyptologist works, like, you know, their work is so important that he couldn't create a volume, you know, dealing with the ancient Egyptian language without citing them, you know, and analyzing their works on the merits of the scholarship. And so these are things that you have to keep in mind when you're talking about the impact of such, you know, just using Sheikh Anta Diop and Obenga as examples, as exemplars of you know, the level of where we're supposed to be at, you know, at minimum in 2017.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm gonna put this real quick. You were saying something? Yeah, that ancient Egyptian race controversy is a trip. If you just scroll down to the Egyptian art, to the historical hypothesis, right? The Black Egyptian hypothesis. Say the Black Egyptian hypothesis is held by various authors, and it tells you like Diop, let me see, W. E. Du Bois, The World and Africa, Chancellor Williams, Diop's Africa, The Origin of Civilization, Diop, Civilization and Barbarism, George Montar, General History of Africa, John G. Jaskin, Introduction to African Civilization, John G. Jackson, Ivan Van Sertima, African Presidents in Early Asia, Mark Burnell, Black Athena, and Robert Bovell. It says that the ancient Egyptians was indigenous to Africa and Black civilization. This includes a particular focus on links to sub-Saharan cultures and the questions of race and specific notable individuals from dynastic times, including Tutankhamun, and the king represented the great Sphinx of Giza. Let me move on. So you got the Black Egyptian hypothesis, you got the Asiatic race theory, right? That's what the Moors be using. They don't even know it. It says the Asiatic race theory holds that the ancient Egyptians were the lineage descended from the biblical Ham. That's what Lord Abba do. He be saying that nonsense. The Canaanites, thought the son of Mizraim. This theory was the most dominant view from the early Middle Ages. Remember, I told y'all that. I talked about that, how they thought life started in Asia. So whenever y'all use that, y'all using the biblical narrative, which is foolery. That's the Asiatic race theory. Your Moors use it. Then you got the Caucasian. I saw something about that. Caucasian Hamitic hypothesis. All right. You got the Ternate race hypothesis. Then you got the dynastic race theory. We talked about that. So we already know which one won out. The Black Egyptian hypothesis. We already know that. So you know what I mean? I just want to bring that point. It's just important to kind of show the separation that we got in the community of real scholarship from the pseudo communities, man. It's a great separation right there. Good works left.
Hey, family, I just want to say good night. It was a good show. I'm out.
Peace,
All right.
brother.
Peace.
Peace.
All right,
Okay,
man.
what's up?
I guess we about to end it where we at, man. Hell, I think we did a good job tonight, man. I appreciate y'all jumping in. And the reason we didn't start on time because we was in here going back and forth. on our information before we bring it to y'all. And this is what I'm saying. It's a study group, man. Study groups, everybody get to voice their opinions. And we come to certain consensus on the squad. We don't agree with everything, but we'll have a general consensus of what we're talking about, and we just bring that information to y'all. So I appreciate everybody coming through. I appreciate you stepping in that car, but you killing them in that goddamn chat room. Killing them. Appreciate you. All right. And I appreciate you coming through us all. Sister Naya, man. Appreciate you. Brother Reg, appreciate you. Ujao, appreciate you, bro. Make sure y'all be in class. All right. Saturday, 1 to 5, Metropolitan Museum. Be there. What's the address, Ujao?
It's Metropolitan Library. And let me pull it back up. Metropolitan Library, 1332 Metropolitan Parkway, Atlanta, Georgia. If you're in the Atlanta area, come out. It's free. Come check us out. Come kick it. Bring your questions, because we're very generous with the time and everything. Matter of fact, the last event, Unc yielded his time to another sister who started off asking a question, and that was very noble, or very generous of Unc to do that. Sister broke some stuff down. We continued the conversation afterwards. So listen, y'all come out. We have fun. We kick it. We introduce and share information with everyone, and then allow questions and answers. And we just have a good time. It's free. We do ask, if you support the products and everything. That's how we keep this thing going. But we giving back. We doing things with the community. Don't want to break people's pockets, but people can come out and support.
Yeah, man, it's free. Somebody gonna live stream. We might live stream it. Whatever we do, you ain't just coming there live streaming on Facebook. We won't be doing that no more. We want to get our material together. Make sure what we're showing is what we needed. We want to be able to edit it. And so, yeah, man, I appreciate everybody, man. Appreciate all support. I love everybody, man. This part of the Amon Raw Squad family, man. Appreciate y'all being there for us during the good times and being there holding on during the damn bad times, man. Amon Raw Squad. Where that theme music at, Ujao? Where that's at? My favorite song, man, by the Magi, man. Smash Rock Wells. Where that's at, man? We can take us out with that, man.
All right, give me a second here. Keep building for a second.
Yeah, so yeah, man. Once again, Metropolitan Library. All right. 1 to 5. Address is 1332 Metropolitan Parkway, Atlanta, Georgia, 30310. Brought to you by Niles Development Ashe Group. Sister Kenya, appreciate that work. All right. So y'all already know what it is, man. So, hey, look. So, hit us up on the inbox. Any questions about different articles, man, throw it up there. We'll have an informed, intelligent discussion tomorrow. We'll definitely be talking about Lion Lex. I hate when I call him that, man. You know what I'm saying? You misinforming people with the Mesopotamia thing. We're kind of going to deal with that a little bit. Certain terms he was using, just to show how incorrect he was, man. Man, let me show you a new shoe we got coming out. Why you ain't? Let me see. I ain't seeing that. Put it up real quick. Dibba. Hey, man, Abdul Wear, man. This is a shoe from Abdul Wear. Dang, that ain't it. Let me see.
All right. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I hear you.
All right. Yes, indeed.
All right, go ahead, man. Take us out, man. It's a new shoe from Abju Wear, man.
All right.
On the rock squad up, Magi Arthur's in the building, please believe. Oh shit. If you ain't Sinetta, no time for that interview, dog. I put my shit out for niggas, I don't send it to blogs. Plan kill off the Buddha, not being discreet. One puff is big pops and projectiles. Between the sheets. Sun run, cold game, bring your cleats. The best flow blow, Eskimo, penguin feet. Don't need no blunt to burn. You run the turf with 10 niggas on the block. That's a punt return. Ayo, Dolomite prototype soldier with the solar light. Saber and he hold it like he hold a mic. Golden ice pendants. Sipping on that overpriced poltergeist spirits. Ripping at the open mic, quote the nice lyrics like Mama move mean overnight. Golden motorbike holding on some Tron shit. That nice neon kit is on it. The king's libation with exotic liqueur. The queen's vibration like a Sada Shakur. A lot of the poor imported foreign threads, they ain't got it to store. Nubian Kush, black top pottery jars, 39% THC, the quality pure. Old rappers try to spit ain't hot as before. It's like I'm fine, like the ball, bust the shots at the floor. Cats switch up the shower, they ain't got it no more. Cause they gotta keep their stores to feed their kids. See what that weed did? The yes man agreeing on everything we said. I smell of the mic like it's the love of my life. Don't get sliced and beat with the butt of the knife. Brother polite to say I'm animalistic, cause I still be in the hood with my hand on my pistol. The Hebrews think I'm cannibalistic, E5 divination, channel the mystic, audio visionary. Let's play poetical Pictionary. Picture me burning down your missionary. Yeah. Then I send you religion. That red dot on your head, that's Hindu tradition. Invisible, independent, in transit shit. I'll bring it all to an end with indivisible games. Charles Xavier, getting your brain. Mental anguish, a manifesting physical pain. Wizard remains to dance in the chemical rain. Breathe slow, then I'm up out of this physical plane. Got military machinery that exercise, weaponized greenery. Shine at it, jeopardize the scenery, son. Bruh, the beam 10 times your distance. Inclines convention, stop rising with no trend line resistance. The parabolic breakout, I'm F-16 with the aeronautic fake out. God killer, the God killer, the God killer, the God killer, it's the God killer, the God killer, that's who it is. The God killer, the God killer, it's the God killer, the God killer, the God killer, the God killer, it's the God killer, the God killer. God killer, God killer, God killer.
Hey man, y'all know we out here, man. Make sure y'all go support Six Dynasty, man. Make sure y'all go ahead and check out the show. That's like one of my favorite shows. Type in the show on YouTube, man. That shit hot, man. Support all the families, man. Mossy Clan Warriors, Mocha University, Magi Archers, Sesu Meta Netcha, Voice of Fire. What I'm leaving out, MBK. You know, all of us is in this piece, man. Black African Power. I'm a Raw Squad Up, man. Appreciate y'all support. Peace.